Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first edition of the 2022-23 North versus South FPL podcast. I am Heath, and on the other line is my man, State.
Boom, 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 boom. Erling Haaland. Yeah, he's the man. Erling Haaland. He's the man. Yeah, I'm good, mate. Really good.
Is
Really good.
that is that what the City fans sing
I
about
don't
the
know.
big man?
I reckon they should do something like to the tune of Rasputin. I think would be a great song. Rah rah, Erling Haaland. He's the super sanctuary man. Yeah, I don't know. Something like that.
Uh,
That's what they should go for.
has anyone got a song for Rasputin? As in, like, are there any other teams using that theme for a specific player?
Not to my knowledge, but our listeners may correct me. So but yeah, no, Rotherham definitely don't have a
Well, that's what I
song.
was going to say, because actually, that's a really good shout for a song. You just have to have a better name than Haaland.
Definitely,
Maybe
yeah,
something that ends with in.
yeah, it doesn't quite fucking go with it, does it? To be fair, let's be honest, But yeah, I reckon Rasputin would be a perfect song if we could make it rhyme with Haaland. That would be fantastic.
It
Yeah,
would be.
people would love it.
First things first. Let's just explain our situation. So, I think I have to put my hands up and say, as it can happen to a lot of people, guys, life has pretty much got in the way. I think when you get close to 40 and you're doing a podcast, I think you have to accept the fact that at some point you're going to have to put that podcast down for a little bit of time and effectively not get divorced when you've just got
Oof.
married. So
I've
basically,
been there. Divorce isn't good. Not good.
I think if I'd have continued the podcast during the situation we had and how busy we were, I think it would have been the quickest. I think it could have actually just been an old marriage, really, because we only just got married. So, but fortunately, I had to put my one love aside of this podcast, and I had to basically get my shit together. Nothing worrying or anything like that. So don't worry, guys. But it's all
No,
good.
his
But
wife just told him what to do, guys. That's all. That's
I
all it
am
is.
I'm,
His
I'm
wife
I'm
just
looking
told him
up
what to
and
do.
I can see that thumb just basically peering down on me, ready to strike at any given moment. We wanted to kind of, I suppose, come back, and I guess today is the best day that we could kind of put together. And today there's no official agenda. I think most people who have listened to this and have listened to the podcast before, obviously we had certain things that we would talk about each week. I think this week it's really just going to be a catch up, understand where both of us stand with our North and South team, and really, I mean, just State can just kind of like bathe in the
Haaland
in the
glory.
glory of Erling Haaland, because let's be honest,
He's phenomenal. He's
we
phenomenal.
thought we thought Salah was like a machine, but it turns out that machine can
Salah's,
actually
Salah's not even
stop.
in my team, mate. I don't even have Salah in my team.
That
That's
honestly, can you imagine saying that this time last season? It would
no.
have been foolish to have that kind of strategy. But this season,
My
you can use
yeah,
that money, without a doubt, for better things. And Haaland is
yeah.
obviously one of those better things. There seems to be a nice array of talent out there that are getting points. My problem is that I don't have that one
Any of them.
defined captain. Yeah, I don't have any of them. No, I don't have that one. And unfortunately, State's actually kind of this season worked out how to play FPL properly and actually pick the best players from the best team very early on. Whereas last season, I felt like I got away with it for a bit of time when you had players like, oh, who did you have? You had the Liverpool midfielder. I think you had, oh, who did you have?
Oh,
You had someone who just didn't score points, and I was just
yeah.
thinking, what is he
Have,
doing? But
have Jordan Henderson or something like that.
I don't know. But anyway, the whole thing is,
It was cheap. It was cheap. I'm a Yorkshireman. I like cheap people. Who can argue with that? You got to be cheap in this life. You got to save your pennies. That's how it works. Yeah.
how long? So obviously we won't go through our teams. We're just gonna what we've
Because
got
it'd be
going on.
embarrassing for you. Yes, I
Yeah,
agree.
but
Don't want
basically,
to do
but
that.
you have got Haaland, KDB, and Cancelo, right?
Yeah, they're my 3 City players. I think they're a good 3 to go with at the moment. To be fair, I've only just got KDB in the last couple of weeks. I had got to that Salah thing where everyone just picks Salah just for the name sort of thing. But then eventually I was like, well, KDB's just outperforming him, and you know, when he's got someone like Haaland in the box, well, put it this way, KDB could find a needle in a haystack with ease. So why wouldn't you just put him in there? He puts on a plate. You know, I mean, did he even? Yeah, he played. He played against Southampton, but it was like, he's just awesome as KDB. So yeah. But then Haaland, yeah, ridiculous, ridiculous. 15 Premier League goals already in 10 Premier League games. I mean, oh no, 9 Premier League games. That's ridiculous. The guy's gonna break records.
I
He's
guess
a
the first
monster.
question is, how many do you think he's going to finish on for the season?
Well, over 40. He'll get over 40 this
What,
season in
as
the
in
Premier
Premier
League.
League?
Yeah. Yeah, he'll get over 40 in the Premier League. Yeah.
Oh, that's a bold statement.
It's not a bold statement, it's a correct statement. I like to say, he's got 15 in 9. So I mean that the stats would say that he's gonna get over 40. And then, you had Champions League Cup games in start, he's gonna have a 50 plus goal season, easily.
Should we have a
Oh
bet on this?
yeah, let's have a bet on it. What do you want what do you want to wager?
I don't know. Let's make it interesting. So
You have to renounce Watford as your team if Haaland gets over 40 Premier League goals.
no, I'm not going to do that. I think let's put a chocolate bar on it.
I like Lion Bars. Lion Bars
Do you know
good.
what? So do I. Have you tried the white lime bar?
No, no, that's poor. I won't touch the white Lion Bar.
Mate,
It's
you need
not
to
right.
try it. Did you used to have those penny sweets that used to have like the fish and
Oh,
chips, the white chocolate ones?
yes. Yeah,
Now
they were
I
good.
don't know what shit they put in those, but they tasted incredible. And
Put it
nowadays,
this way. It was probably about 20,000 calories per sweet. I would have guessed.
probably,
But
and they were incredible, right? But the white chocolate you get nowadays is nowhere near as good as that, right? However,
mm,
I found somewhere that has the same white chocolate. The creators of the Lion Bar have basically found those ingredients and they've molded that back together and created the white chocolate Lion Bar, which honestly,
impressive.
give it a go, mate. And we'll put that on the line here, right? White chocolate Lion Bar. If you want to go, if you do try it, you don't like it, I will give you a normal standard Lion Bar, milk chocolate one.
Two. Two. I want two, not one.
Two, no problem. So basically, the bet here is that Erlinger Haaland is going to score 40 plus,
Premier League
40
goals.
plus. So he has to get 41 goals or more.
No, 40 plus. They'll try and win on the technical. Look at him. Guys, look at him. He's already trying.
No,
He's already trying to get out of this.
yeah. So if he scores 39 goals, I get the chocolate bar. If he scores 40,
Yeah.
you get it. There you go. We'll have it that.
Sounds like a deal. It's a deal. It's a steal. It's the sale of the fucking century.
It
Back,
is.
Nick. Back it. I'm gonna keep it. Yeah.
But I will happily confess right now that fantasy football again hasn't massively hit my radar. I am still making transfers, but I haven't been able to
He's
really.
making transfers.
So
Oh yeah.
I've
Making a lot of transfers, guys.
I have made some transfers, but the problem here is that I am on an FPL podcast, I guess, with the idea that I have a lot of FPL knowledge. And this season, that is not what I can offer. I can offer my common sense knowledge, I guess, which I'd like to think is quite good knowledge.
I think I've brought great knowledge this year. I've got knowledge beyond. I mean, who else is going to have Daka in the team this week? Not many. Yeah, I mean, only a genius would put Daka in. 1.1% of people have Daka in their team for this game week.
It's a really good shout, mate.
Who was part of that 1.1%? Or yours truly, the best man in the world, State. Thank you very much.
another thing just to point out to listeners right now, because again, this is the first podcast, that we should have probably stated which teams we can pick. So unfortunately for me, I got the short end of the stick here. So basically, where
Short end.
I did
Arsenal and Spurs. You got like two of the top three there in yours. You know, you just got to pick the right players. That's your only problem. You just got picking the right players.
I got given, I mean, to be fair, actually, Fulham and Bournemouth are doing quite well. So Brighton. So technically, maybe actually I'm talking nonsense. But the whole thing is that on paper, and we do play this game on paper sometimes, I lost Aston Villa. So basically, State can.
They're not doing good though, are they?
No, but you know, like they've got players that are FPL proven players, someone like Luca Dean or something like that, and Ollie Watkins or someone, you know, someone who can prop up, you know, a position in the team. So State, your teams are all right. I'm going to work from the top and see how well I get on. You have to help me out here if I forget anyone. But Man City, Liverpool, Manchester United, Newcastle United, Leicester City, Nottingham Forest. You've got I'm struggling already.
Everton, Leeds, Villa,
United, Villa,
and Wolves.
There you go. And so,
look, put it this way: I've got 6. I've got 6 out. You know, you've got you know, I've got Man City, United, Newcastle 3. I've only got 4 out of the top 10. You know what I mean? You've got 6 out of the top 10, and I'm still destroying you. I mean, that just tells you everything you need to know, guys. You know, let's be honest.
You've got to remember that if you pick a captain every week who gets a lot of points, then you're going to have a good chance of destroying most people.
Do you know what the clever thing is? Pick the right captain.
Which isn't difficult this season. For you.
It's not. Well, it's not difficult for me, no. But you know, it's not difficult for you either. You know, you put Harry Kane as captain, he gets you a goal, maybe even a goal and assist every week. So he's doing all right. He's just not scoring the goals that Haaland's scoring. You know.
Anyway, so we're gonna basically come on to my teams that I've got. So I've got Arsenal, I've got Spurs, I've got Chelsea, I've got Brighton, I've got Southampton, Bournemouth, Fulham, West Ham United, and then I have got, who am I forgetting? Brentford, and there's one more.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace, that's still last.
So well, yeah, you know, you've never liked Palace, have you? But,
I mean, I like them now because I like them more now because they've actually got some players I can pick, but not many. But so none
that are in your actual fantasy team, though.
Yeah, it's true. I did have Zaha, I think, at the beginning of the season, but I kind of felt like it was going a little bit stale, and I went for Ward-Prowse instead, but that didn't quite work out for me. But anyway, the whole thing is that we can basically pick only players from our region. And like I say, I believe personally that I've had an okay season, considering I haven't really been 110% vested in my team. It's not an excuse, but it is what it is. At the same time, I do think that the situation with State's team and that Haaland is just a fucking monster means that I really don't know how I'm going to get back into this. I think that
I figured out a trick to stop Haaland. I figured it out for all Premier League teams. Yeah, basically, you shoot him in the kneecaps while he's asleep. That is the key. You do that, no problem. He can't play football anymore. It's brutal, but I think it's it might be necessary for these other teams.
It's a very interesting strategy that you've come up with there.
I just don't see any other option for other teams. I really don't. If you have a better option, if you have a better idea, which is more legal, then I'm willing to hear it. You know, this petition's going around about going to Parliament. You know, they've got all the 1.8 million signatures. Didn't realize there were 1.8 million Scousers in the world, but you know, there you go.
Do you think that makes the Premier League a little bit meh with Man City? I know Arsenal technically top of the league, but you know, it won't
not
last.
Technically top of the league, they are top of the league.
Yeah, but when I say technically top of the league, they are technically top of the league. What I mean is that they're not going to be there for long. It won't
Are they?
last.
You have little faith.
We can have another bet on if you want. Two line
Go on
bars.
then. Go on then.
Well, so you think
You
Arsenal are going to win the league?
definitely not. No.
Well, that's my point, really. And my point is that they're they're good kind of like measure for being up there.
They've
They're doing well, but they
they've
won't
turned
stay for
Liverpool over today, haven't they? So I think Arsenal will win the league in the next 2 or 3 years. Definitely with this sort of side they've got. Youngsters quality. Well, we call them youngsters, but like Saka's now. He sounds like he's been around forever, doesn't he? He's absolutely top draw. Martinelli, Jesus is definitely you know the second best signing of the season. You know, you can't argue the best first signing is, but Jesus is great signing for Arsenal, done wonders for them. I think I think we're looking at a barring Man City winning the league, we're looking at a Southern dominance in the top four this season.
yeah. And I'm pleased about that. I'd be honest with you, it's quite nice to see.
Yeah,
Sick and
you just need to know which players to pick from your fantasy team, don't you? For that, that's all that matters.
I guess it's the faith that you have to hold in certain players. Like I did want desperately to have that front three of Kulusevski, Son, and Kane for the whole season because I thought that would be a lot of fun. And then Richarlison went and ruined that by signing, and
Yes.
basically Kulusevski then kind of lost that appeal. After that, it's like who's the third Spurs player you can go for? And I think I went for Perisic, but he's just been rotated for Europe and stuff. So
Yeah.
realistically, it's just I think I did aim to take him out this week, but then I looked at other transfers and I thought, oh, that's not much fun taking out a Spurs defender for another Spurs defender. But again, he was someone that I thought if Perisic plays, even if he gets taken off after 70 minutes each week, you could get a nice clean sheet assist or something like that. So at least he's not a
Yeah.
bad shout.
I think
But
even with I think even with the even if he was on the bench and he came on for 30 minutes, he's a great shout. To be fair, like you said, class as a defender, but he's playing as a wing back, and we all know that Perisic has that quality going forward. So
he
he's
does, but
not
he
just
hasn't
goal,
really
goals,
got
but
there, has he yet?
no, not yet. No, he needs to be getting more assists. To be fair, and that's what you're expecting from him. You're not expecting goals from Perisic. You're expecting assists. And
Yeah.
he needs to be on that.
So I think that's kind of messed me up. But and also I think that the hard thing with Arsenal has been which midfielder out of Martinelli, Odegaard, and Saka do you go for? And Martinelli right now is winning, but
Mm.
I got to be honest with you. The beginning of the season, I thought Saka hands down. I think he was on penalties as well, and I thought that's a
Got a
winner for me.
penalty tonight, Annie.
Yeah, I thought at the beginning of the season, I thought he's guaranteed to be the best out of the three, and I held on to him for a bit too long, and I think I have Martinelli now, but again, it's like
I think Saka's been unlucky though, and I think if you look at the games, I mean, he got a couple of assists for England against Germany when he came on. I think he seems to be getting a lot of the old pre-assist of Saka, and it's like last season we were getting goals and assists, and they were all playing into his path, and he was a great fantasy FPL asset for anyone. This season, it cost you more money and he isn't getting the goals and the assists. He didn't get the FPL points. He's still playing well though. Don't get me wrong.
yeah,
Anyone who says that he's not playing well is blind to football. But he's not getting you the points, and for that money, like you said, Martinelli is an easy choice. You go Martinelli all day long at the moment. He's scoring goals. He's getting some assists. And he's so much cheaper. So if you can pick, put it this way, if you turn around and said to me, if you could pick two players from the South teams, I would be picking Harry Kane and Martinelli. They'd be my two picks because they're scoring points. It's as simple as that. And I think it's like you said, Saka's great. Don't get me wrong, top player, love him, but fantasy league wise, he's not getting you the points that he got last season, and it's a lot more money. So, no chance.
Okay, and what I'm thinking about, the other thing, my other issue has been Chelsea, because I got to be honest with you, I thought Tuchel was just like, I thought he would be one of those managers that would be around for a while. I thought, especially when they won the Champions League. I know, and I don't want us to go down that route of, they can't sack this guy, because Chelsea have always done that, and they've got new owners. And the fact is that the new owners have got their manager in charge now. So whatever people think, it is what it is. But
they're an expensive man's Watford, aren't they, Chelsea?
Yeah, well, actually, it's probably quite an insult to say they've got any similarities to Watford, but yeah, it is pretty much the case. But but getting, like, I suppose the idea was that my other issue was that Sterling was meant to be playing up front. Obviously, they randomly got Aubameyang last minute, and the other thing was, it was Chilwell or James or Cucurella, and it was very much, you'd think, okay, well, yeah, again, they'll get clean sheets, they'll get assists, they might even get a goal here or there, and it just hasn't happened really for Chelsea. So again, I've got my excuses is very much that the bigger players from the bigger clubs who should be up there, in my mind, haven't quite performed, and you've got a player who everyone in FPL probably, if they haven't got him now, in Haaland as captain every week, it would be insane. Anyone who is anyone who is still making transfers at this point will have Haaland as a captain week in, week out. And at the moment, he's performing every week. So it's very difficult to, like, I'm in another league where with my normal team, and I've really had a terrible start to the season there, because what I've been doing is I've been trying to bring a differential captain in. When Salah's had a good fixture, I thought, do you know what? Everyone's going to stick with Haaland. I'll go with Salah, try and get the points back. Hasn't worked. I tried it 2 or 3 weeks, and basically I've now got to the point where I've gone, okay, got to admit defeat.
Not captain him. My question is, right, look, Haaland's got an 84.1% ownership, right? What are those 15.9% of people doing? What are they thinking about in life?
They're probably just set and forget FPL players, aren't they? Probably just set up a team and then don't continue. So they might, have kind of gone for Kane over Haaland, because I think at the beginning of the season, it did feel like it was like you had to have Salah, and because you had Salah, you then had to make, and you had some big defenders, your Trents or Robertsons, Reece Jameses and whoever. And then it felt like you kind of had to have like Jesus, because Jesus was and that's another expensive player. Then you had some others, but basically the whole thing was, it was you couldn't afford necessarily to have Kane and Haaland and still have a good squad. You would have a very bare squad. But what's happened this season is you've had players like Pereira come up for Fulham, and you've had like other players like that McAllister at Brighton, where you could actually have a very cheap squad, have Haaland, Kane, even if you wanted to keep Salah. I know he's not doing it at the moment. I'm sure he'll turn it around at some point. But the whole thing is that if you can actually have a quite a good, and I think some people used to say, the centre forwards had kind of effectively died in FPL, because a lot of the attacking players were midfielders. So like say KDB, Salah, Mane, these expensive kind of midfielders who are actually more forwards than they are midfielders. KDB is not a good example of that, but Aubameyang was obviously set as midfielder, and then like say Salah and Mane. But the whole thing is that now Haaland's in, Kane's hitting form from the very beginning. You've got players like Wilson when he's not injured. You've got Jesus. You've got Ivan Toney, for instance. He got bags a hat trick a few weeks back. Even the new striker at West Ham's now started to score. You've got Martial seems to be back. It just seems like that there's a really good vast amount of players that you could get a lot of good differentials. You just have to use your wild card really cleverly. If you're in my position, like you're miles behind.
Yeah, lots of options. To be fair, I think at the moment, and there's lots of nice cheap deals who players who are doing well. I've had Alma on in my team. He's 5 million in his last 2 weeks. He's obviously had blinders. But then you've got players like Rashford playing up front for Man United, 6.4 million. Nice. Obviously, yeah, your Brighton players. It's Grush has been the consistent player at Brighton. Obviously, Trossard got his hat trick at Liverpool, which was the big differentiator for him. Barring that, he hadn't scored. Well, I mean, he's got some points before that. Obviously, he only got 20 points there, but I think it's there's lots of options this year. And last season everyone was turning around saying, "Oh, there's not enough striker options." There's plenty of striker options now. Haaland's there. Nunes is coming at Liverpool. Yeah, he's not performing Nunes for Liverpool, but it's a striker option still. I mean, do people think that Diego Costa might be a cheeky worth of a gamble at a cheap price? As a striker, as a Northern team, I'm thinking, yeah, he could be worth a look at. But I think Mitrovic obviously at Fulham, fantastic. Like you've already said, Ivan Toney. Jesus at Arsenal, Kane, obviously, lots of striker options this season all of a sudden, and there's still strikers classed as midfielders for some reason as well. So I think what you said there, spot on. Plenty of options, plenty of potential for scoring some good points. But it makes it a nightmare for FPL managers because you got so many options. It's just trying to get it right each week. And like you said, Salah's not obviously scoring the big points that he scored over the last few seasons. He's still getting decent points, but for 12.7 million at the moment, is it worth it? No.
When you were picking your team at the beginning of the season, and like obviously it's all easy now in hindsight, but did you have certain players that you knew you were going to keep? Like set basically a group of set and forget players you could just put in and go, that's it, they're there for the season.
Yeah, I mean, Haaland, Cancelo.
You see, you didn't have that issue, the Haaland Kane issue. That's the one good thing about our situation, because both of us could have an expensive centre forward, knowing that we can, we don't have to pick, which is quite reassuring. But
if I could have, if I was able to pick from both North and South teams, would I make a case to have both Haaland and Kane? 100% would I do it? Yes. I'd go from both. Yeah, does it mean elsewhere, it means you don't get as many fancy, priced players, but I think it's well worth it. You get them two up top and you get another marquee player in your midfield, and then you could maybe afford a Cancelo maybe at the back. There's your four marquee players and go for it.
I think what will be interesting is to see how long people stick with Salah, because I know you said you took him out. I think people, especially where they see, like, I think that people will go down two routes, or obviously it's more than two, but basically the one would be going directly for Salah to KDB if they don't have three Man City players already, or they go from Salah to Foden and then upgrade one of their centre forwards to Kane. If you see some of the centre forwards drying up in goals, like Ivan Toney or someone like that, if they start kind of like, not performing, I don't think he scored for maybe he scored actually yesterday, didn't he? He scored a penalty.
Yeah, he got a penalty yesterday, didn't he, Tony? But no. Yeah, you spot on. To be fair, you do that sort of thing, and but it's like you said, it's a tough one. I understand that, but I think I really do think you got to try and get both. And I've had Salah in for like I think 7. I had him in for the first 7 game weeks or 8 game weeks, and then I got rid of him, and I was like, nice burden to get off your shoulders. To be honest with you, freed up
a lot of money.
Half. So yeah, he's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, he's still not doing terrible, but the numbers that Salah put up last season, you're obviously expecting the same again from him. And if you're not getting that from him, the value's elsewhere. You know, you can spend that good money, like you said, on other players. You know, on better players. You can get two quality players in for that price, basically, in a way.
And you
So yeah,
can again, if you're desperate to go for a Liverpool attacker, you can downgrade to Diaz now.
yeah,
Again, like I think he got points today, for instance, and it's another
yeah. He
good
scored a goal,
option.
didn't he? Yeah, yeah.
It's just one of those. And I mean, again, I know Man United haven't had a fantastic season. I mean, they're doing better than Liverpool, but
Anthony,
yeah,
Anthony's
like
started really well.
yeah, I think if Rashford, for example, is I think he had a goal disallowed today. I don't know if he's done anything else,
Yeah,
but
yeah. No,
he's
he
so
got
cheap and he's playing every week, right? So he's a really good shout. And basically, what I'm trying to say is that I like the idea of having kind of like a group of players from all different from different places in the league table. But realistically, at the moment, it feels like you could actually have a group of 11 players who are from the so-called
what,
top six,
3 or 4 teams. Yeah,
yeah, and then like if you were to throw in extras, you can kind of go for a Trippier or again, like I said earlier, Wilson or someone like that, or a Zaha. There's options to kind of throw people in for the other slots, but there seems like if this season it's actually quite an interesting. There doesn't seem to be a huge amount of form coming from anywhere else apart from Man City, or consistency is probably the thing, not form.
yeah.
Consistency is not a huge amount coming
Well,
from anyone apart from Man City.
yeah.
And obviously Arsenal and Spurs have been consistent, but I wouldn't say they're going crazy with points like Man City.
No. Well, that's it. I mean, you look at FPL now, guys, and this is what you've got right. Top point scoring defender by 12 points, João Cancelo with 61. You know, top two midfielders in fantasy points, 62 Phil Foden, 59 Kevin De Bruyne. You know, Bernardo Silva's not too far away with 47 points, and then top striker obviously Haaland. So you sit like you said, City your players. If you're not using three Man City players, obviously you can't with our game, but if you're not using three Man City players and you've got the option you need to be having a word with yourself. Are you really genuinely serious about this game or not? Or are you just taking the piss? Because I mean,
You really got
it's
to
just
look yourself in the mirror and ask that question.
yeah, yeah,
Are you really taking FPL seriously?
yeah. And if you don't have three City players in there, then the answer is no. You are not taking it seriously, guys. It's just simple as that. Let's be honest.
You really got to focus on what is
Yeah,
important
yeah.
in life, and that is
What's
getting your
important in
Man
life?
City players in there.
Exactly.
Um, I,
Get
I,
Man City players in. Get the
I,
right Man City players in as
well,
well,
that's
by the
that.
way.
That's exactly it. Yeah, it is getting the right ones. I'm sure people were kind of contemplating going for players like Walker and other players like, I guess, your Diaz's
Yeah,
and
I mean,
all those players that have kind of shown enough in the past. But it does seem to come down to a group of players now, because there's the thing that used to give me an element of hope was that although Man City, and I think the reason why this system, the North versus South, works really well for the last two seasons, because obviously last season, if you don't know already, State did win, but
ooh,
we
yeah,
we finished on
just
joint points in the head-to-head. The State won on points gained from his
overall.
team overall. And then the season before that, when we were doing the trial run, I won, but again, it wasn't a huge amount in it. It literally was maybe 3 or 6 points in it, and
Mm.
it's been very close. It's been really, really entertaining. But this season, it's gone away because Man City have finally nailed down an 11 and stuck with it.
Yeah,
It's crazy to say, but
pet,
there
pet
would be
roulette
no,
is not
yeah,
happening as much,
the
is
pet
it?
roulette would not be on the shit list this season. It
No,
couldn't be.
no, definitely. Well, it's that you've got your guaranteed play starters, aren't you? Obviously, Haaland's starting every game. You know that KDB, Foden are starting every game in midfield. Bernardo Silva, as well, probably most games. Cancelo's always playing at the back. As an attacking fullback. You got like 4 or 5 players that you can pick from that you can honestly turn around and say they're going to play more game, most of the games, basically. And I think that's it seems to be a massive thing for Pep this year, which is unlike previous seasons where he's rotated. Will that rotation happen later on in the season? Well, if they start getting miles ahead,
Yeah.
then yeah. But right now, he's thinking, no, we're not getting miles ahead yet. We're not, yeah, we're beating every team. We're beating them handsomely, but other teams are doing well. Arsenal are doing really well, obviously. Arsenal have won every game, barring the Man United fixture, so they've won 8, lost 1, great work. Spurs doing well, lost 1 game this season, so it's one of those things where Pep's like looking around and saying, I do need to play my best team every week because, other teams are getting better around me. So, I think it's a big thing, and I think, like you said, when it comes to FPL, you can have a little bit more faith and a little bit more trust in Man City and who Pep's going to pick in terms of 4 or 5 players that are going to start pretty much every game. Right now, he seems to be rotating it more in Champions League because they've got a cushy group. That's probably it. So there you go.
Yeah, no, agreed. And I mean, it's yeah. The fact is that this, like I say, the actual FPL side of things is benefiting, FPL players because they can be a bit more. I mean, again, if you're picking players like Mahrez and Grealish at the beginning of the season, and I'm sure people did because Grealish was only 7 million, you'd be kicking yourself now. But at the same
But
time, you would have learned by now that obviously
yeah.
they're the ones who are getting rotated.
But yeah, I mean, Grealish is starting more games than he was last season already, isn't he? At the moment, I think it's that typical Pep second season syndrome. You buy someone in the first season, and that first season's a learning curve for that player. He's like, you need to understand how I want you to work, and he works things differently. Grealish would have had a massive change in environment from being at Villa, where he was by far the best footballer there, and he was the catalyst, he was everything for them. To go to Man City, where he's not, he's not even guaranteed to be in the starting 11, and sort of thing. And but then this season he's starting more and more games already, this season. And I think, I've got, is he a fantasy points person? Probably not at the moment, at the end of the day. He doesn't seem to be getting like your FPL points that you'd want. But, he's a cheaper version of Foden, but at the same time, Foden's scoring the goals now. He's getting these assists.
Oh,
Foden's
do you
now
know what?
starting
I knew it.
stats.
I called it at the beginning of the season. It's one thing I said to people. I said that I really felt that this season would be Foden's season where he kicked on. And it's the one decision that I wish I'd, kind of stuck with because he was in my other team beginning of the season. I thought, I'm going to stick with that and I'm going to, and I had Haaland, I think. Oh, no, yeah. Basically, I made a really bad mistake in my other team and I played my wild card literally the first week, which I used to do like every now and then because I used to think like, oh, get the value. I'll know that the players, who's playing and all that. But for recent seasons, it's been a lot easier to work out who you think is going to play. This season, I basically went Salahless on the first week. He scores assists against Fulham or whatever, and then basically had to change my team completely around because it's so expensive that I played my wild card. But my justification, and we were going to talk about this when basically just to kind of give you a heads up, I actually went and visited State like a week or two before the first podcast was due. We had all these notes all kind of written up, what we were going to do, how we were going to do it, and all this. And obviously, it just didn't happen for whatever reason. But the one thing I was going to say is that one question we had from like the FPL community was, when's the right time to play your first wildcard? Well, the reason why I played mine in my other team so early was because I just knew this World Cup was going to be about. And if you guys don't know this already, when the World Cup happens, it will be effectively, it'll be like a World Cup because you'll have unlimited transfers throughout the World Cup. So effectively, you've got your normal wild card, you've got your second wild card after January.
You get 3 wild cards,
and you've got the World Cup kind of unlimited transfers. So it basically means you can use this first wild card. God, I'm really struggling to say wild card or World Cup. This first wild card. Try and say that World Cup 3 times. Good luck, guys, if you do try that, because I feel like a muck right now because I can't say it. But
you smash it. Well done. Well played.
Yeah, well played. Tell us all about it. That first wild card, if basically if you to make the most of it, you can use it as early as you want, really, because you know that you're going to have a fair amount of
another one in December.
December.
Yeah.
So it's not that far away. So
then,
that's
and then you got one to use what after the end of January, so like February time after the transfer window, isn't it? Basically.
Yeah. And obviously you can't bank these things. So basically you have to use it. So the whole thing is, if you've used your wild card this early already, most people would say that's a mistake. But I think this season you're okay.
Now you've got that freedom this year. I think a lot of freedom where you can use it and use it and abuse it, sort of thing. So go for it big time. If you've not played your wild card, what are you waiting for? Unless you're doing really well, obviously, and that's fair enough. But you've got to use it at some point because, well, why wouldn't you? It's like a waste of a chip straight away.
And the thing is, even if you want to make free transfers, you might as well use the wild card to use that.
Yeah.
If it gets closer, this is basically between, I guess, really, actually, the fact is,
I played my wild card this week for the Northern team. Played it in, wanted to bring in Daka, wanted to bring in Anthony. I brought in Trent. Now, Trent was probably an interesting one. People will probably say, why on earth are you bringing Trent to play in Arsenal? And I was like, yeah, I understand that. It was a slight mistake, but I was at the same time thinking, I think after this, after this game, I think, Liverpool they've got City next. That's a big game. But after that, I think they've got a good run of 2 or 3 games where I think Trent could pick up some points for you. Liverpool aren't keeping clean sheets. I've not brought him in for clean sheets. I brought him in to sort of start picking up his assists again. But I played my wild card this week because, like you just said there, I thought, well, when else am I going to play at the end of the day? Let's get rid of it. Not get rid of it as such as in like throwing it away, but I wanted to make a few different things and bring a few different players in. So yeah, definitely.
Do you want to do you want me to make you laugh and tell you what my wild card was? So my wild card at the beginning of September was I'm going to name them all here, right? Ben White, Cucurella, Perisic, Saka, Zaha, Andreas, and Plange, the Crystal Palace centre forward, 4.5 million forward. I took them all out and I brought in Zinchenko, Fofana, Emerson, the one at West Ham, Martinelli, thumbs up for that, Ward-Prowse, McAllister, Ivan Toney. I think that I've effectively cancelled out two or three of those because I don't think McAllister's done that much better than Andreas. I don't think Ward-Prowse has done much better than Zaha. Martinelli and Saka, I'd say Martinelli just about wins that probably, so that's a good one. Yeah. Ivan Toney, I think I might have brought him in after his hat trick. So I think I'm not too sure. Do you know what? Actually, I might have brought him in at the right time, but the whole thing, what I'm trying to say is that it didn't do a huge amount to my team. And now Fofana's injured, Emerson's not really starting. Realistically, Zinchenko, I don't know what's happening with him. It's a mess of a wild card. But the whole thing is, I can laugh at it because, like I say, in a couple of months' time, I can mess around my team again, and I can do whatever I need to do to kind of get it back on track. But anyway, I think it's probably the right time now where we, it's been a nice little catch up. I think it's probably the right time we talk about the North versus South League this season. So last season, if you were in the league, we effectively, I suppose, put the league together quite last minute. And I said to people, I know some people are quite uncomfortable setting up a second team with a different email address and all that. And there are some people that would say that effectively we are cheating by doing it. But I would then send it back their way and say, well, yeah, but I'm not going to win FPL by picking a North only team or a South only team.
My North only team's doing better than my main team.
Well, I mean, I
Again.
suppose, but you still.
And last year, my North only team beat my main team as well.
Yeah, but
I like
I
a
think
competition with myself.
I think realistically, that just probably says more about how you pick your normal team than the fact of the strength of your North team. But the whole thing is,
I feel that you're slating me. I get that.
we put that together last season, quite last minute. So this season, we said to people, what we wanted you to pick a North or a South only team and then join the league. And like I say, I took my foot off the ball where I kind of told people to do that. I said, if people didn't do that, I will kick them out of the league. I haven't done that because I just haven't even. I tried to do it, but I
The
can't
top
seem
two
to.
players in the league are both cheating. They're breaking the rules.
Well,
If you
basically, what we
if you
want to
get rid of
do,
them, then that means I'm top of the league.
we don't want to get rid of them, right? What we want to
I
say
do.
to them is we want them to either play a wild card, make it a North
Have
or a
2
South only
weeks.
team.
2
Yeah,
weeks.
and then basically, if they haven't done it within a couple of weeks, we'll have to boot them then. But the whole thing is that we don't want to kick anyone out of the league. We want to give them a heads up, and that's why I didn't really. I mean, I have tried to kick them out of the league, but I didn't know how
I
to
want to
do it.
kick. I want to kick them out. I want to get rid of them right now.
I mean, anyway. So the whole thing is, we'll talk about the league itself and how people are getting on. So I think, given that I'm down the bottom, and there's probably a lot of Southern teams, I'm gonna start from the bottom, and I'm gonna get to 7th, and then state you can then talk about 6th upwards or something. Yeah, so we can share this out. So at the very bottom, in unlucky 13th place, is South London, Liam SH. I'm pretty sure this is a Southern only team, which it is. So he has kind of worked that out. So well played, Liam. Then we've got Essex Tykes as Pavlos Lossi. He again has got a Southern team, and again there's a theme here, obviously. So
he was terrible last year as well. So fair play to you, pal.
Yeah, he was actually. To be fair, actually, I think both Liam and Pavlos both had Southern teams last year.
Yeah.
Then he come to 11th place myself. Now I'll just explain my name. Now, I I went for Sunny and Ager, as in Sunny and Cher, and then found out that actually they might not pronounce it Ager, it might be Ayer, and I thought, well, kind of still works. And the whole idea was I was going to keep Son and Christopher Ayer in my team all season, and Ayer was injured, so I didn't. So silly.
Disappointing.
It was. Anyway. So yeah, I'm in 11th place, and yeah, it's not been going too well for me. Then we move up to 10th place. So this is Big at the Back East. Now, this is the Big at the Back podcast we worked with before, and they said that instead of doing a North and a South team, they wanted to put their own kind of like idea with it. So they went West and East. I mean, I like that these kind of guys that, you know, that they don't think, you know, in the same way, you know, like they're not sheep, basically. They don't, if you say to them, I want you to do this, they don't, they do it their own way. And I like that about them. Hence why we did the podcast with them. They're good guys. I mean, and so
it's working better for one than it is the other. I'll say that.
Yeah, again, so they worked out that effectively East is pretty much a Southern team anyway, apart from, I think it was Leicester or something. So they
Newcastle's got Newcastle down that East Coast, surely, you know.
Yeah, well, it doesn't look like they worked it out like that. I don't know. So
not thinking like that, do you? No.
Yeah.
To be fair, it looks like it's just a shit team. To be fair, if you haven't got Haaland in, don't care. Even if you're not allowed to have Haaland in, you'd find a loophole in the rules. That's all I'd say.
Yeah. So anyway, so Big at the Back East is struggling, and he's like, and this is Matt Higgins. He's down in 10th place. Then we go up to the Mouth of the South. Great name, Sean Convey. He's also a Southern only team, and obviously
it's not all these Southern only teams are low down in the table.
Yeah. Hopefully, the second half of the season will, well, actually, this is quite disappointing. So, Anthony Ian. So we don't drink shandy. he has basically got a Northern team, and he's down the bottom with us. So I'm sorry, Anthony, but yeah, it's
Still got some Forest players to play.
yeah. But the fact that you're down there with all the Southern teams means that arguably you've probably had a bad season.
I'd like to say that, yes, he might be down there with the Southern teams, but at the same time, he's higher up than most of the Southern teams.
Yeah, true. But anyway, so then we go on to the first person who has unfortunately picked a North and South team together, and that is FPL Gluttony, Mikhail Francis, and he's got a good team. Fair play to him. But unfortunately, you've got to get that wild card in there. And if this is your main team, fair enough. But we will have to kick you out because there's no room for a joint team in this league. I'm afraid. So
he needs some major changes because he's got like 3 City players.
Maybe we're doing him a favour.
And a Leicester player, so yeah, I mean, his 3 City players were good picks. Yeah, I like the 3 City players, Foden, KDB, and Haaland. But after that, it's just scattergun approach, pal. And you're cheating, and you're still not even top of the league, which is embarrassing.
Cheating is not the word I would use. I'd say maybe not completely understood the concept of what we were asking for. But again, that's just poor communication on our terms. So anyway, we'll move up the leagues now, and I'll let you take over.
Well, yeah, like you said, sixth place, bigger the back west, Mr. Thomas Madden. I preferred Thomas than I did Martino, to be fair. I thought Thomas knew what he was doing, to be fair, and he's got a fully Northern team as Thomas. So I don't know how it's working, but he's doing pretty well. He's got Cancelo, Foden, and Haaland, the 3 best City players to get. He's got Andy Robertson in his team though still. He's got Digne in his team. He's got some red flags in there. So I don't think he's focusing on this Northern team very much. I reckon he's just put it in there and he's letting it go for it. And it's not serving him badly, to be fair, put it that way.
Well, I think to be fair to him, we haven't been doing the podcast, so why would he give a shit about it? To be fair, we haven't offered our part of the deal here, So fair play to him. I get that.
Yeah. Well, one lad I know has been focusing on his Northern team is York Shirty, my friend Ross Shirtliff. Legend, play football. From my team on a Saturday for my club. He's got a sweet left foot. He can put a free kick in the top bin or the bottom bin easily. But and he's been giving me grief for weeks, saying, "When are you going to kick out these people who are not fully North or South team?" And the reason he's saying that is because his main team is doing shite in the league that we're in together, just like my main team that we're doing is shite. But he's like, my North team's actually pretty damn good. So he's like wanting to get rid of people so that he can be in like the top 3, along with myself. So he's doing well. He's Mr. Shirley. He's a top lad. He's got a Northern team. He's got Haaland in. He's gone for the Haaland, Foden, De Bruyne, 3 for the City. He's got Kieran Trippier in there. Not many people don't probably have him, because he gets to assist. I mean, you could go for someone like Botman if you really wanted to. Obviously, Madison's a pick at the moment because everyone thought Leicester have got a good run of fixtures, but then things didn't go quite as well as they'd hoped yesterday. But yeah, Ross Shirtliff with York Shirty doing well there, 5th place, 519 points in total. A decent game week. Then we've got Dothraki Screamers. Now let's see what are they up to.
Dramatic name, eh?
Yeah,
Dante Inferno.
And it's and this is the highest place some team that we've got in the league, I think, maybe, or I haven't checked actually 4th place yet, but yeah, fully Southern team. He's got
fair play.
Couple of Chelsea, a couple of Brentford, a couple of West Ham, a couple of Spurs, Martinelli, Zaha in there, Trossard. He's got a nice Southern team there. Actually, he's got some good picks in there. He's got Mitrovic in his squad, Saliba, and so I think fair play to the man, Dothraki Screamers. you're doing all right, pal. Fair play to you, mate. You're nearly up there. You're nearly the best of the best. But the best of the best in terms of a fully northern or southern team is your man, your one and only co-host, Mr. State, myself. I don't like to big myself up, but my northern team is it's turning tables, it's turning heads, it's great. Who else puts Daka in this weekend? Only me. Yeah, go on, myself.
Only me.
Only me. My only issue was that I didn't go for the Cancelo captain. I went for Haaland captain like everyone else did, pretty much. If you're allowed to have him. So and that was the only thing that I didn't do right. But Haaland's still got a goal. Can't come below that. Anthony's got another goal. Anthony for Man United seems to be a player. He's played 3 games in the Premier League. He scored 3 goals. Can't grumble with that, can you? For that sort of thing. So you want to know. Now the top 2, they're both cheats. They're both cheats. Let's be honest. We're not gonna beat about. Well, I'm not gonna beat around the bush. That's for sure. So yeah, the top 2. They've both got teams that are flating the rules. They're like Conor Ben, aren't they? In the boxing, flating the rules. And we're giving you 2 weeks, guys. Otherwise, you're gonna be gone. I mean, these two have got good points. Over 600 points already, so they're both doing really well.
Oh yeah, they're in a lot of leagues here, so I would imagine this is their main team. So I'd be surprised if they wild card and make it Southern or Northern.
Well, I think in one of the WhatsApp groups, one of them did say, "Yeah, I'm really sorry, but you just need to keep me out of the group." Actually, to be fair, I think he just wanted to try and be winning another league, even though there's no money in this. There's no money. It's all just about pride.
Yeah,
pride and me winning. That's the key. Those are the 2 key things: pride and state winning. That's the key things. But that's it. It's a good. The league's going good. We thank everyone obviously for doing their north or south teams or west or east teams. Really good for them to do that. We know it's not as simple to sometimes get a second team in that, but it's a bit of a laugh for us. And when it comes to proper FPL, well, only a numpty would have a Norman team that does better than his main team, and that's me. Thank you very much.
And also just to update everyone on our league, our head-to-head league. Obviously, I won the first year. State won last year just by the skin of his teeth. This year, obviously, I think State's won this week. So basically, it'd be, I don't know. Yeah, I think you've won this week. So it basically, effectively, State is top of the league on 16 points after this game week finishes. So it's 13 points a moment, but it'll be on 16. And I'm on 10 points. So it's 6 points difference, not done too bad. I think it's worked out for me. Yeah, so that basically is the league situation. And I think, like I say, we'll see how that goes with the guys who have picked, basically multiple regions. We'll kind of obviously let you guys know the situation there, and then try and kick them if they don't change it. But yeah, happy days. Just before we go, I do want to ask you a question today, and I'm going to offer my kind of thoughts as well. Obviously, we both pretty much agree that Man City are going to win the league by the way things are going. But after what you've seen, my first question is: who do you think is going to get top 4? Who do you think is going to get relegated? And I'm gonna answer it because I put you on the spot. So from my perspective right now, I'm genuinely thinking that top 4 is going to be, it has to be Man City, obviously. I think Arsenal have done so much so far that I would imagine they would get top 4. I don't know if they'll finish second. I think Spurs might finish second, but I do think it will be Chelsea and Spurs. So Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea, and City. So it'll be a dominated London and City basically. And then who do you think is going to go top 4? And then I'll do my relegation after because I got to think about
that. Fair enough. I'll continue into relegation because I think I've got a good idea about that. But yeah, Arsenal will be there. You think they've shown plenty this season already, which is really good. I think Spurs with Conte will be there. I still think Liverpool will get into that top four. I do think they will.
You do?
I think they'll sneak in. They'll sneak in there. I think they've got such a good side, and I think it's just about Klopp just needs to adjusting slightly, and I think he's smart enough to do that. So I think they'll do that, and then but in terms of relegation, Forest will go down. That's for sure. 100% Forest will go down. I think Bournemouth and Fulham will also go down. I think the three who came up will all go down.
Wow, interesting. I like it. Do you know what? I think that's a very bold statement, given that they've started the season well. However, I think this time last season, Watford hadn't done too badly up until this point. And I think that, Burnley, I can't remember actually if Burnley were doing all right, but I remember thinking Watford, they'll have a good season from here, but it didn't quite work out. So, yeah, you might be right. I'm going to go, I think Forest, just the club seems a bit messy at the moment with so many new players. I think if they get out of trouble, good on them. To be fair, if they get a big win tomorrow night, they could even be out of relegation. It'd have to be a massive win, but they could get out of relegation then. But I'm actually going to go different. I'm actually going to go with Forest. That's not different, but I'm going to go with Forest. I'm going to go with Southampton. And I think my last one, I might actually say, I'm going to go with Wolves. I think Leicester have got enough quality that they'll get it from somewhere. But I think Wolves, because I don't know, they could go out there and get a really good manager and things turn around. But it just they've always had good players, but it's just that whole thing of like, do these players, has it kind of like this strategy they've had for so many years, has it kind of finally ran out because maybe players want to move on or injuries or whatever? I mean, it was always revolved around the idea they had a solid defense. Connor Cody's gone. I don't really like, I didn't really like Connor Cody that much, but I respect the fact he's a good centre half, and obviously he's turned Everton around by being solid. But Jimenez,
him and Tarkowski, great signings for Everton.
Yeah,
spine centre half pair.
But Jimenez was key to that, and he hasn't looked the same player for a while since his head injury. And then you've got other players like, Ruben Neves is a quality football player, but you've got to be asking yourself questions of when is he going to move on from Wolves? He's too good for Wolves. He's got to have that moment where he's got to try out and get a move to a bigger club. And you think with this World Cup coming up, it's kind of prime time for these kind of players to be looking. If Portugal have a good World Cup, that's Wolves screwed if they do. But yeah, so I think that, and none of their signings that have come in have really blown anyone away. So I'm going to go with them. And I think with Southampton, I'm not too sure how long Hasselhuttl's got. They've been pretty loyal to him, and he's been pretty loyal to them. But it just feels like there's something missing again with them. That had
I agree, yeah.
The players I had last year that just kind of seem to give them that edge. They don't have that this season, and they look a little bit championship-y, don't they? Really. So yeah, that's who I'm going to go with. And obviously, top goal scorer, Haaland with 39 goals.
100%, 40 plus goals, no problem.
But yeah, so all right. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to be back with this podcast, and I knew I was going to enjoy this thoroughly, which I have done. It was great fun. We did it last season, and I think what we've agreed is, because it is incredibly busy for both of us, what we're going to do is this is going to be an ad hoc podcast rather than a weekly podcast or a monthly podcast. I think we're just going to release these when we can get together and do these. So I hope you enjoy them. Yeah, obviously today's didn't have much structure, but we'll try and put more structure in the ones coming forward. If you want to get in contact with us, we are still on Twitter. So the podcast Twitter page is at FPL_NVS, and State is still at FPL_Northerner, and I am at FPL Southerner. So yeah, please, if you've got any questions or anything you want to add, just let us know on there. But yeah, from me, it's it's a goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye everyone, and thank you for listening if you're listening. And yeah, long live the North.